You ever watch a perfect evening get torched by red and blue lights flashing off your own lake? Because that's how my war started, with the cops at my driveway, me still clutching my fishing pole, and Karen, the self-declared queen of drama, pointing at me like I'd robbed a bank. I'm not exaggerating. She's waving at the officers, yelling loud enough for the fish to hear. She's blocking the HOA board from the community lake. That lake doesn't belong to her alone. She's being selfish, violating HOA rules. But here's the punchline, folks. That lake, it was mine, not ours. Mine. Came with my deed plain as day. My little patch of peace I'd scraped and saved for a private lake, tucked away behind the old cabin I fixed up with my own two hands. Now picture it. Cops glancing from me to Karen to the cluster of neighbors rubbernecking like it was reality TV. One officer, trying to play it straight, asks, "Ma'am, is this true? Are you denying the HOA access to this body of water?" Lump in my throat, I manage. "Yes, because it's my lake. It's private property." But Karen's already storming forward, waving a pile of papers like she's got Exhibit A for the jury. Don't listen to her, arrest her if you have to, and I can feel every pair of eyes on me, air thick enough to choke. The officer's hand hovers near his belt. I don't know if he's going for the radio or just steadying himself for a circus. That was the night my quiet life flipped upside down. Let me back up a sec, give you the whole picture. 3 years back, I'd finally scraped together enough to buy this place, 10 acres, thick woods, a pocket-sized lake that to me felt like paradise. I pictured slow mornings fishing, skipping stones with my niece's sunsets that belonged to me and no one else. Sure, it wasn't fancy, but I poured everything into making that cabin home. And at first it was great. Neighbors waved, kids zipped by on bikes, the world felt safe. Then along came Karen. She ran the HOA like a medieval kingdom. If your grass was tall, you got a note, a dented car. There's a meeting. Heaven help you if your porch decorations didn't match her taste. I tried to be polite, smile, wave, keep my head down. But the day she found out my property included that lake, her eyes nearly lit up. She shows up at my door, syrupy smile glued to her face. "So, you've got quite the lake back there. Gorgeous. Don't you think it's only fair to share it with the community?" I just shake my head. "Sorry, Karen. It's private, not part of the HOA. Her smile wobbles. "Well, I'll have to double-check that. Everything in this neighborhood is for the good of everyone." I hand her a copy of my deed showing the lake is all mine, no easement, no loophole, just me. You'd think that'd be the end of it, but not with Karen. Suddenly I notice the HOA board wandering near my fence. Strange kids start swimming in my lake, strangers. Every time I have to send them packing. So I put up a sign, "Private property, no trespassing." That only made things worse. Karen starts a rumor campaign. She's selfish, doesn't care about the community spirit, hoards the lake. Letters in my mailbox threaten HOA fines. One morning someone's dumped trash up and down my driveway. But I held my ground. Wasn't about to hand over something I worked my whole life for just because Karen threw a tantrum. And that brings us back to those flashing lights. The officers, Karen shoving her fake documents, the neighbors watching every move. That's when I realized this was just round one. As the red and blue lights stuttered across the lake, Karen kept barking, "Arrest her. She's blocking the community." The officer near me sighs. "Ma'am, do you have proof of ownership?" I nod. "Yeah, it's in my cabin." Karen rolls her eyes. She probably forged it. The other officer gives her a look. "Let's see the papers before we make accusations." So I go inside, hands shaking, dig out my folder of property documents and head back. Karen lunges for the deed, but the cop pulls it away. For what feels like an eternity, they read the paperwork under flashlight. Karen's muttering about corruption and favoritism. I just stand there praying someone will see sense. Finally, the tall cop looks up. According to this, the lake is entirely on her land. It's private, not HOA. I could have dropped to my knees, I was so relieved. The neighbors start murmuring a couple of chuckle. Karen's face goes red. She jabs a finger. This isn't over. The HOA will take this higher. The officers hand my deed back, warn Karen to leave me alone and drive off. For a second, I hope that's the end. Oh, I was so wrong. Next morning, the hammering starts. Out at the edge of my property, Karen and her minions are putting up a giant ugly wooden sign, Community Lake Open Access for Residents. I march right over. What do you think you're doing? Karen, smirking with a hammer, says, making it official. If the HOA says it's community, then it is. I point at the sign. That's illegal. Tear it down. She shrugs. Take us to court. Her board members won't meet my eyes. So I whip out my phone. Fine, I'll call the sheriff. The other board members look worried. Karen just laughs. Go ahead. You're harassing the HOA for trying to help the neighborhood. It hits me then she doesn't want peace. She wants control. And if she can't have the lake, she'll rewrite the rules until it's hers. Sheriff's deputy shows up, a big guy with a mustache, all business. He sees the sign, the hammer Karen and her crew, and asks, "Who wants to tell me what's going on?" Karen leaps in. We're just doing our duty as the HOA. This lake belongs to the neighborhood. I pull out my deed again, hand it over. The deputy reads it, shakes his head. The HOA doesn't override property law. You're trespassing. Remove the sign. Karen sputters. You're taking her side. I'm taking the side of the law. The board yanks out the sign, slinks off. Karen hisses. You haven't seen the last of me. For a while things go quiet, but then the letters start. Official-looking HOA threats. Failure to provide access will result in fines. Further action will be taken. At first I laugh. Then I realize some neighbors are starting to take Karen's side. One sweet old lady, Mrs. Green, comes by with cookies and tells me not everyone agrees with Karen. I nearly cry. It's a small comfort, but it means the world. Then things get nasty. Bags of trash dumped on my driveway, stinking in the sun. In the mess, I find a piece of mail addressed to Karen. It's no accident. She wants to break me. But the next day I find Karen and half the HOA set up on my shore coolers chairs, kids swimming the works. Welcome to the HOA's first annual lake festival, Karen shouts, raising a soda. Everyone laughs except me. I tell them they're trespassing. Karen just grins. Don't be dramatic. I dial the sheriff again. The deputy comes, sees the party, says, Ma'am, you can't use her property without permission. Everyone needs to leave. Karen tries to stand her ground, but he warns her, and finally, grumbling, the crowd clears out. As Karen passes me, she hisses, This is just the beginning. You can't win against the HOA. The days that follow are a blur of harassment and paperwork. Threatening letters now saying they'll fine me $500 a day, put a lien on my property. They even bring tow trucks to seize my old pickup, claiming unpaid fines. I call the sheriff again. This time he's furious. This isn't repossession. This is theft. The tow drivers unhook my truck and speed off, not wanting any trouble. But the next morning, a yellow notice is nailed to my porch, summons to court. HOA versus me. Property dispute hearing in 2 weeks. I call my lawyer, gather every document, photo record I have. The hearing arrives, Karen flanked by her minions, her lawyer calling me selfish, a disruptor. My lawyer stands up, cool as a cucumber. The deed is clear, Your Honor. The HOA has no claim. The judge studies the evidence, then says all fines are invalid. Further harassment will bring legal penalty. Karen turns pale as a ghost. Outside, she sneers. This isn't the end. I look her dead in the eye. Maybe it's time the HOA learned what boundaries mean. She storms off the board, trailing behind. After that, things start to shift. No more trash, no more letters. Neighbors wave again. Some even apologize. I get my quiet afternoons back, fishing at my lake, peace restored. But scars remain. Every time Karen's car drives by, I tense up. But you know what? I'm still standing. And the lake, my lake, reminds me every day that some things are worth fighting for. So let me ask you, If you'd been in my shoes, would you have fought like hell? Or just given in? Where are you watching from, and have you ever stared down your own Karen? Drop your thoughts below, because trust me, justice only works if we all stand up for it.